Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today for another great Partner Spotlight webinar. Today, I have brought my friends on from Doublecheck. I will be passing it off for them to I'll introduce them and have them introduce themselves, and then they'll be running through the presentation today. In the meantime, a couple of housekeeping things. I have today's webinar on listen-only mode. So if you have any questions, we welcome the questions throughout the presentation, but please put those under the chat window. And then also at the end of today's webinar, we will leave a few minutes for questions also. Like I said, I just want to introduce my friends at Doublecheck. I have on the phone with me today, I have Jessica Doherty, Amy Harbour, Katie Weckler, and Brandon Michaels. Thank you guys for joining us today. I look forward to your presentation, and I'm going to hand it over to you guys to start.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Katie Weckler. We could not be more excited to be on here today talking to Typhone, and you're talking about Typhone and your clients and telling you a little bit about Doublecheck. We have Jessica, who's our CMO, Brandon, our CFO, and Amy, who runs all of our technology. So you're in good hands from a question perspective. Our goal today is to give you a high-level overview of how we look at NSF overdrafts and how we believe that our solution can help your members, customers, small business owners take control and give them the transparency that they need in an ever-evolving landscape. So let's get started. And I will try to change this. Here we go. All right. So the industry is evolving. I'm sure that we don't need to tell any of you this, that's in the business, but you know, NSF and overdraft have caught a lot of attention. First of all, there are so many of them. There are 2 billion NSF and overdraft events that occur on an annual basis, not including small business. For the purposes of today, we'd love for you to consider that we call NSF and overdraft one and the same. Reason being, before overdraft was introduced, there was only NSF, and should overdraft ever be regulated away, it will also be back to NSF. So for that point, you know, NSF and overdraft, they're a pain point for your members. They cause a lot of frustration, but yet as financial institutions, you still need to make income. The NSF and overdrafts, they reduce teller productivity. It can take teller up to an hour and a half to go through multiple green screens to fix and remedy the situation, get approvals. With our solution, that can be done in minutes. Why is this important? Well, there's a lot of different things changing, consumer sentiment being one. Consumers are fed up with fees. They're fed up with the ways that banks are charging them, credit unions are charging them, and they don't want to have damage to their credit. They want to have visibility and control. We live in a world that everyone gets instant access to information, and right now, there hasn't been a way that NSF is something that is shown up until Doublecheck. We know that this is a problem because there are many challenger banks, neobanks that are out there that are getting consumers that their main value proposition is offering a no-fee way to bank. So we have that going on. Now take a look at litigation and legislation. On the litigation side of the house, there are class actions that have been piling up left and right. A notable one is Navy. They had a big class action, not about the fee, about the lack of disclosure. They settled it, and then they were sued almost 1 month later. So even if you settle those cases, they can still come back to haunt you. On the legislative side of the house, we have a governmental team that has met with 31 representatives of House and Senate of Congress and talking to the CFPB Action Committee, NCUA, and showing our product to make sure that we're regulatory friendly. And so far, everyone has been very impressed with the transparency and control that we give to consumers. We believe that based on the conversations that we're having, based on, you know, President Biden and sort of the direction that he has with CFPB, that these bills that have been introduced by the House and Senate again this year have a much more likelihood of being passed. In those bills, they're really focused on decreasing fees and making sure that you don't prioritize different items, you know, making large ones clear first, creating a slew of additional NSF fees. But the other part is they want to potentially limit the amount of fees that you can use per year. And if you don't do anything and wait, there's a 1-year fee moratorium that you'd be facing where you don't have the ability to recoup any of that fee income. Why is that important? Well, right now interest rates are where they are. We understand that, interest income is a huge part of your business. And now we're talking about something that has the potential to have impact on your fee income. So we think that this is very important. Why is this getting so much attention? Well, not only are we having these large settlements, not only is it in the legislative house, but if you look at the news, it's all over the place. These headlines are very telling. And so consumers are aware, and they're hearing about large institutions that are making big announcements, such as we're eliminating overdraft, or we're going to give you this extra window of time, or we're going to have some other program that we implement to address these issues. And so what we hear from the credit unions and other financial institutions we work with is, what are you doing, Mr. and Mrs. Financial Institution, to help me and keep my business with your bank, knowing that I need access to revolving lines of credit, overdraft, and I want to make sure that my best interests are being handled by all of you. So what if there was a way that we could help both your consumers and the financial institution at the same time? Introducing Doublecheck. So let's just take a moment and think about this from the member experience. Our team has built the technology, and we have a patent that's approved, where we take the data from your NSF exception as well as your overdraft files. They're processed differently, we understand that, but we gather that data up and we communicate that via text message, email, and potentially a robocall to your consumers, small business, or members, depending on if you're a bank or credit union. We notify them, and we try to work with the back office to elongate that period of return so that we can give them the biggest amount of time to resolve this issue. For all of this, your members can log in through their current credentials at your online banking and mobile solution, and they're presented with all of the items that are causing them the problems of that day. So up until this point, the members have not had any charge. They have the communications for free, which become part of your audit trail. They have the transparency to see what's going on. They've used their own credentials to log into a secure online banking program that you've provided. And now they have the transparency to see, okay, this is what's been decided by my institution. And we'll get into more of that in the demo. But imagine just a list of items that are causing these issues. So now if your member decides that they want to do something, well, these are their options. They can move something that's being paid by overdraft and put it onto a credit card. They could bring in cash to resolve the issue. They could also use available balance. What is that? Well, maybe they're going to get a wire transfer from a family member. Perhaps they have their account linked to Venmo or PayPal, and they have funds in another area. Or perhaps there's a paycheck that's going to be hitting the next day, and it's simply just a timing issue. With Doublecheck, they can take all of those different decisions that have been made, and they can reprioritize them to meet the needs of their personal positions at that day, at that moment in time, which gives them the control to control their financial destiny. Why do members like this? Because they avoid all of those other pesky fees that don't even have anything to do with your institution. Meaning, if they are late for a credit card bill, they could have a $39 late fee. If they, miss their rent check, maybe their landlord is going to charge them a return fee, and maybe they have to bring cash going forward. There's a lot of ramifications that happen after these events occur, and with Doublecheck, we can help your members solve for all of them. All right. With that being said, I am going to try to switch my screen, and give me just a second here and walk you through our demo. All right, show screen 3. Okay. Amy or Jessica, can I see if screen 3 is showing? Okay, good, thank you. This is a new system, guys, so bear with me here with some patience, thank you. So what you're looking at right now is if your member went and logged in. So we've already communicated with them. You've already got the emails. You've already gotten the text messages. They've gone through and they've accessed the link, which gives them the ability to make these transactions within this 24-hour period. And so this would all be branded to look exactly like your financial institution. So in this particular instance, it's our Hollywood Credit Union demo account. This toolbar is very helpful, and it stays with you throughout the entire experience. What you're looking at right now is my account. You see that it's masked. You can see that the courtesy pay has been exhausted, so that might be named something different at your institution. It might be Overdraft. It might be some other more fun name. But in this instance, that's what it is. And then right here, this is the most important thing for your members and consumers. It's their time to act. It's the window in which they can take action to resolve. If they need help, they can call your institution. They can look at our helpful tutorials where they can go through, and depending on what part of the application that they're in, we've chunked it up and broken it so that they have the ability to look exactly at what they need, or they can look at our frequently asked questions and try to make sure that they understand what it is that they're doing. One thing that always comes up that I want to point out is your members are going to be well aware of Doublecheck before that we would launch with you. Jessica's on the phone because she's our marketing person, and her job is to make sure that everyone knows about Doublecheck so that they're very comfortable and confident with using our application. So other things to take a look at on our landing page is I clearly have 5 transactions that I need to get resolved. Why should you use Doublecheck? And what if you do nothing? Well, if you do nothing, all of the items will go back exactly the way that the credit union has designated. This is all templatized and can be customized for each and every one of your institutions to the verbiage and tone and tenor in which you would like. So let's get started. Over here, again, credit union decision, that's the default. I will pay the item, I'll return the item to the payee, and I can report fraud. We have instant fraud reporting, which is something that a lot of our credit union clients really love, that they can get ahead of that right away. Again, this can all be used for your nomenclature. So if any of these don't resonate with you, that's not a problem. We can fix that. We can put it in your language, and we will do that during our onboarding process. So let's click next. This is the main screen that members care about. This is telling them what is going on. So they can see all of these credit union decisions. Well, the reason Courtesy Pay was exhausted is because we paid these bills: Indiana Jones, Moonwalk Hall of Fame, Easy Rider. Well, it wasn't used to pay my Hollywood studio apartment because the amount that was applied isn't enough to pay that. So you know what? I know I need a place to live. So I'm going to start with this item first. I'm going to pay that. Now you see that the amount due has reflected that I've made a change and I'm going to be paying that. Well, Rodeo Fancy Clothier, you know what? I don't know what to do about that. I should have never bought those clothes to begin with, but that's me. Over here, I'm going to report fraud because I don't ride bicycles. So I certainly know that that was not me. And I'm going to leave these other items exactly as they are. That makes sense. One thing to point out is when we report fraud, that automatically returns the item. So your credit union right there is not going to suffer a loss because of fraud. So that is a helpful tool. And if report fraud is selected, we can communicate with your back office and make sure that everyone is aware that fraud is occurring. Now, this is the main page. All of these items will stay with you. So we're going to go to the review page. All right, well, I want to pay with my credit card, but you know what? I can't. That's because I have items to acknowledge. Okay, well, again, part of your audit trail. So there's items that are set to be returned. This can, cause potential damage to credit, so on and so forth. Small language, but big impact. So I'm going to click that and acknowledge it. On the fraud side, we want to make sure that we would understand your fraud processes, and we would have that as part of this right here. So if it's that you have an online way to resolve, we can have a quick link that takes them to your online resolution. If they need to contact the credit union, that's fine too. But right here, we're embedding this in your compliance and audit trail. Now you can see, again, these are the items. Everything stays with you. Rodeo Fancy Clothier is being returned. I've reported fraud on this item. I am going to let these items be covered by my Courtesy Pay, and I am going to just pay my Hollywood studio apartment. So throughout the application, you always know what it is that you're doing, and it's very easy to click back and forth. So again, I need to re-acknowledge these items. And so introducing a credit card. So we are the first company to introduce a credit card to pay for overdraft and NSF, which we think is a great way for people to manage that. You can also bring in cash to the institution and get that done within that 8-hour and 40-minute window. And available balance, that has been a very popular one of our pilots because some of these people have money at different places, or a paycheck can hit, as I said previously, and that allows them to remedy their account. Now, this is a fully mobile responsive application, so you can do this on your cell phone, you can do this on your tablet, you can do this on your computer. The other thing to keep in mind is that the only time a member would be charged this $20 service fee is if they were to change any of those pay return decisions. If they went this far in the process and decided, you know what the credit union decided for me is the best that I can do for the day, then everything reverts back to that and there is no service fee that's charged. The other thing that I want to tell everyone is that everyone gets this the minute that you sign the contract with Doublecheck. This is event-driven communications, so there's not an opt-in process for your members to be taken care of. With that being said, I want to be timely and get over to what we call mission control, and this is the credit union version. So this is our NSF and overdraft dashboard. Every day, you'd see all the different members, consumers, small business owners that have unresolved accounts. And as the day goes on, some of them will move to the resolved side. Over here, you have cash payment pending. In future releases, we will send additional communications to make sure that that member gets in there and make sure that their wishes are honored throughout our application. They're not charged until the cash is deposited. So if they don't make it, it goes back to the credit union default. Over here, your fraud team can be actively working on fraud resolution to make sure that your loss prevention goes down. On the NSF accounts, if you're frontline, call center or tellers, they can sort by product type, they can sort by branch, manager ID, or if you're someone like me who never remembers their account number, you can just look it up by name. What you see here is a mirror image of what we just decided on the consumer-facing application. So we left these items to be paid by courtesy pay. I reported fraud over here, and I decided to pay my credit union. I decided to pay my Hollywood studio apartment rent. This is also part of your audit trail, so you can see these text message and email communications. You can resend text, you can resend email, and you can also update information on your members if they don't have relevant or updated information. Settlement, we understand your business and that you have to tie everything at the end of the day. So looking at settlement gives you sort of nuggets of wisdom as well about how this is working. It shows you what you've collected. It shows you all of these different items. It also tells you how your members are resolving items. So if they're using available balance, cash, and you have a company sponsored or credit union sponsored credit card that you wanted to launch, in a future release, we will have the ability to have instant decisioning and allow those members to apply for a credit card right on site. Finally, these are our reports. So everyone loves reports. So anything data-driven, we can send out to you. So this tells you your notifications, again, part of your audit trail. This would tell you your member usage. Are your members using it? We can also have a report for your non-usage, as well as how much money that you're making, because we know how important it is to keep revenue at the credit union. And with that being said, I'm going to get back to our, I'm going to get back to our presentation and walk you through a couple more items. Okay, and we went all the way back to the beginning. So these are our use cases. So as we've been implementing different credit unions, we've found that there is a variety of ways that people want to implement. So some of our credit unions are adding this as an additional fee. As the service charge is a member selected fee, it does not fall in the overdraft general ledger column. So it doesn't fall in the NSF column or the overdraft column. It goes into a new organic revenue source. Some of our credit unions want to be revenue neutral, so they want to have a double check transaction per NSF where they would just simply reduce the NSF fee. Some of them want to charge $20 per day and simply reduce the NSF fee as well. Others are looking at charging $20 per transaction to have each person have the ability to say, you know what, I want to resolve this transaction and I don't want to resolve that. And then the more regulatory friendly is to just simply eliminate all of your NSF and overdraft should that come to pass. We don't know. and charge the Doublecheck $20 a day fee. And that's it for me. I'm going to pass this over to Jessica so that she can talk a little bit about partnering with Doublecheck.
Awesome. So do you want me to go over this one too, Katie? I'll go over this one. So overall, we have this 360-degree support model. So the idea here is that, you know, whatever it is you need to go and implement this, we're going to be there for you, and we're going to make sure that you have what you need and you're successful in this. Our success really depends on your success throughout this. So whether it's, you know, the implementation, the integration, you know, the marketing stuff, which I'll take you through, training, you name it, we have a solution for you, and we're going to make it as easy as possible for you guys. And we're going to be a true partner in the sense of the word partner. So let's talk a little bit about marketing and communications, my favorite. So again, similarly, one of the things that I really try to do is make sure that we are providing something that is really turnkey, whether it's for your pilot or whether it's for the launch to your full membership. But the bottom line is, you know, I want to make sure that you are able to communicate this out to your members in a way that they understand what it is and they can leverage it, as well as use it as a way to potentially attract new members into your credit union, because we think this is a really different and innovative solution and can be something that can help you acquire new members, especially maybe that the Gen Z and the millennial kind of audience that really needs to kind of start moving into the credit union space. This could be a way to use this to do that with them. So we provide just basically everything you can think of. So you tell me what you need from a marketing perspective, and I'll prepare that for you. So whether it's the announcement that's going out for your pilot or to your full membership, you know, content for your website, whether that's banners or just copy, you know, we'll give you a video if you have a video wall in your branches, content for an overhead in your branches as well, telephone, account statements, social media, you know, PR, we'll write press announcements, we'll give you marketing campaigns. So really whatever you identify and think that you need to go launch this successfully, you're right, I will partner with you and help you get that out there. So on this next one, what you can see is that I have a two-pronged approach to the campaigns. The first one is more of a traditional approach, and it's sort of the kind of marketing that you would typically see in the finance industry. So, you know, blends right in, very consistent, you know, doesn't hurt anything, right? Doesn't disrupt things very much, but it's a very good traditional campaign. We also have something that is disruptive that will kind of, you know, sort of surprise people because it's not what you see in this industry. And that's more of our lighthearted sort of disruptive campaign. So with that, I'm going to show you both very, very quickly. So this first one is the traditional campaign. And you can see here, especially on the right, this is very straightforward, providing the information that people need about what Doublecheck is, right, and how it's going to benefit them. On the left is a little bit more of a fun approach to that, to try to blend a little bit of disruption into that traditional campaign. So we can dial that up or down. And then on the next slide, I'm talking fast because I know we're just about out of time here. And Katie, if you click it one more time, you'll see the banner ad come up at the top too, hopefully. There we go. So, so this is the disruptive campaign. The idea here is that everything in life deserves a double check, right? And so we use images that are things that you should probably double check. You should double check that complex math program, that you don't have food in your teeth, etc. Same information being conveyed in these ads though, right? The exact same kind of content is being conveyed here, but in a way that maybe is a little bit more disruptive and catches people's attention a little bit more. So the idea here is we can also customize these campaigns as well. If you watched the banner ad that was going by on the top, we had some unique images. That was because we're working with a credit union in Montana, and they wanted imagery and things that supported things that happened in their region. So there's one that's, you know, taking place on a ski slope where there's a little kid pointed towards the Black Diamond instead of the Powder Puff, you know, hill. And there's one of people camping right next to the sign that says beware of bears. So we can really customize the campaign to make sure it works for you and what you want. But that's kind of the very quick version of what we do from a marketing and a communications perspective and an overall partnership perspective. We're really here to ensure that you guys are successful, and we'll do whatever it takes to do that. Katie, back to you.
Well, thank you. I don't know if we have time for questions at all. So Helena, I'm gonna ask you what your thoughts are on that, or if you want us to wrap up.
Oh no, we can go ahead and just see if there's a couple of questions. Like again, just a reminder, if you have any questions, please put those in the chat window or into the questions area, and we'll get those questions answered for you. In the meantime, though, while we're waiting for those questions to come through, I would just like to, if you're a Doublecheck customer and you have questions, please reach out to them. Or if you're a Typhone customer and you have questions, please reach out to us, and we will get those answered for you and get any additional information you might be looking for. It looks like Katie and Jessica, we do have one question that did come through. Does this replace my overdraft program?
It does not. It could if you wanted it to, but we sit on top of your current overdraft program. So the way that it works is you know, until it's regulated away, it's your call as to how you want to address the fees within your credit union. So you can look at us as a service layer on top that gives the transparency and control so that your members can make these decisions on their behalf.
Okay. We do have one last question here. If you want to go ahead, if you guys want to address that, is this just adding another fee for consumers?
Well, that is certainly one way that people look at it. And Brandon, I don't know if you want to field this question because I know you're pretty passionate about it as a former CEO.
Yeah, I'll take a stab at it. Thanks, Katie. It's a great question, and I think this really speaks to what consumer sentiment is all about, and what consumers have said time and time again, regardless of the industry that they're in, is that they're willing to pay for something that is of value. And so based on our conversations with the CFPB and other members of Senate and the House and the NCUA, we don't look at this as a fee. We look at this as a service charge because it's consumer driven. What we are finding though is that some credit unions and other financial institutions are reducing their NSF fee and their overdraft fee because they're implementing this service charge, and they don't want to be revenue accretive as much as this platform provides. So we are seeing some institutions who are lowering their NSF fee, which gives them a win for the entire membership and their communities, because now you are reducing something that has a lot of negative consumer sentiment, but then you're implementing a service that is pretty transformative and gives the power back to the consumer to change their transactions around if they wish.
Yeah.
Great, thank you for that. I was to say, we're just at the end of time here. If you guys want to, Katie and Jessica and Brent, you just want to go ahead and just wrap up, and like I said.
Absolutely. Well, we couldn't be more excited to be working with Typhone, and hopefully any of you that are interested, we would welcome you coming and you know, scheduling meetings with us so that we can understand more about how you're thinking about this, where you are in the process, and we can give you all the resources that we have available. So Brandon's our new CFO. We're working on, and we have some use case modeling where we can show you all of that regulatory wheel of what that's actually going to do to impact your business. And I think that's crucial information to that we are happy to provide to you and work with you on sort of those pro formas to understand if you went this way versus this way. But we love your consideration. We appreciate any opportunity to speak with you further. And I don't know if anyone else from the team has anything to say, but I thank you very much.
Great. Well, I'd like to thank you guys for joining me today on another Partner Spotlight webinar. And thank you everybody for joining us today. We appreciate it, your time, and take care.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.